everyone, and thank you for joining. We're still waiting on Tonya. She'll be joining us shortly. We have one here. So, how have you been doing? Things going good?
We just got snow, so it's still really cold.
Oh, is it like 12? I know it was like 12 degrees down here.
It is. Let me see what it is. I don't know if it's 12. Because what we have Fahrenheit and
Celsius?
41 degrees Celsius is what it is here.
I have no idea.
Yeah, neither do I. I have no idea either.
Just know that it's cold, huh?
It's cold. It is cold. Still, it's cold. We still
So,
have the heat on.
yeah, I have my heater on, and it's like, what is it here? 64.
Yeah, that's kind of. We wish it was 64 over here right now, probably.
It's still heater weather, though.
Still heater weather.
So last week we were talking, and people were wanting to talk about fairies.
So fairies or just the fae in general?
Well, I like Brian Froud.
I'm sorry, you like what?
Brian Froud,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's a lot to fairies. There's a whole lot of fairies, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I could cover it all in one session or whatever, you know. Um, So I have my fairy oracle cards, and to be honest, I've learned more from oracle cards than the classes. I mean, there's some basics, about like don't use iron and stuff like that. But as far as learning about the fairies themselves, I learned from the oracle cards. How about
Well,
you?
I learned from people who actually work with fairies. Um, I learned, certain things. I believe you don't say thank you or I'm sorry or you owe them a favor. If things are lost in your house, you put out shiny things so they bring back the thing that you want. Iron affects them. They're mischievous, of course. Be careful of your wording when working with them.
Right.
You can find yourself tied up in a knot. So, yeah.
So I don't know where your mom is, Dad.
Thanks, Jess, for the comment. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Well, then maybe it's, I don't know what it is, 41. It says 41 on the thing, Nika. It just says 41. But it's cold.
It might be 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
Whatever 41 is when it's cold, that's what it is.
Okay. Someone asked if they can invite the Fae to their wedding. I mean,
you probably do not want to do that.
Could, but it wouldn't be advisable. I mean, but you could. If you want your wedding to go to hell in a handbasket,
Pretty much.
bride be tripping going down the aisle, and
People's things be missing.
They're very mischievous.
Exactly. I think I liken them to children that have no rules. So that's pretty much what it is. Except they might be a little bit more advanced, but yeah, they're definitely mischievous. I haven't learned too much about the Fae, as I haven't really delved too deeply into it as much as I would like, but I want to because I would like to have a garden and I would like the fairies to take care of it, of course. And I want to have, a fairy house there. And so I definitely want to dig deeper into it before I just throw something out there.
Well,
But
go ahead.
But I know I do have that book of Squished Fairies. Have you ever seen the book, the Squished Fairy book?
The pressed Faeries journal.
I think maybe that's what it is. My sister got it for me, and I love it.
It's by this same guy
It's
that I was
so
talking
cute.
about. So, if you guys are getting kicked off on Facebook, you can go watch it on the YouTube channel. I posted the link. Star, we're not doing readings. I was thinking though, how many people we got? 22 people. So I wanted to go ahead and play this video of an interview with Brian and Wendy Froud,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe just pull some cards and then read out of the book what that card is about, so you learn about the different fairies.
Do I have anything with fairies right now? All my stuff is downstairs in a box.
Okay. Well, I have this one.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I'm gonna play the video, the interview, and then y'all can still chat on the side. We'll still
I
be.
was at the Three Wishes Fairy Festival in Cornwall. We found the legendary Brian and Wendy Froud outside the Fae magazine store. Now, the organiser of the festival, the beautiful Karen Kay, arranged an interview with me and Brian and Wendy. And for your viewing and listening pleasure, here it is. Hi there, I'm at the Three Wishes Fairy Fest and I'm very, very excited to be joined by Brian and Wendy Froud. Hello!
Hello.
So it's a bit of a last minute thing, you decided to be here. What made you come this year?
Well, we didn't actually know if we were going to be in the country. We thought we might be away, but then we, found out that we were, and of course we come.
You've been very, very popular doing signings, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've got a newish Oracle deck out, haven't you? The Heart of Fairy. It's it's sort of the long time in between the last Fairy Oracle. What made you want to do another one? What made you think, right?
One for you, I think.
Oh,
Is it?
that's you shouldn't. No, it's for you, really.
Well, when the original deck was being developed, the fairies themselves were insisting on who went in the deck and who didn't. But so there were a lot that were left over that were a bit fed up, the fact they weren't in one. And so Wendy thought it'd be great actually to include a lot of those ones.
Are they getting angry?
Yes.
Well, they were. I know.
And also we wanted to actually collaborate with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we work together in a sense in the same house, and Wendy often responds to my drawings and makes figures. But we thought it would be great to genuinely have a proper collaboration.
And it was a new experience for me to write something like this. I do quite a bit of writing, but I've never written for an Oracle deck before, and it was fascinating. I enjoyed it. Also, what Brian didn't say was that in this past 10 years, he's done so many new pieces that there's just a lot of new work in it.
Is it hard to choose again which ones to put in?
They actually did sort of say for themselves which wanted to be in it. So it was easier than I thought it was going to be. I was the one that chose the ones to go in.
Yeah.
And it ended
And
up being an easy process.
Paint by intuition in a sense. I paint these figures and I never know exactly who or what they are. It's only when it's finished that when they have these very distinct personalities. I still don't know who they are, so it's usually somebody else can help me figure it out. And so Wendy, looking at the paintings, could really respond to what they needed to say.
They really do. I mean, I love both decks, and they really do feel like characters. They just do feel so strong coming off the page. You can just see them coming alive when you look at them.
Yeah, and they just do. They do all have something to say, and they really want to have their voice.
I'm in the middle of working on a book called How to See Fairies at the moment, and so a lot of the pictures are all done now, but it was interesting. They have all of the pictures have a central character, but the backgrounds keep getting filled up with other fairies that sort of come crowding in. They
really do crowd in.
They all want to be in the picture.
Yeah.
Or
I noticed about your pictures, there's not, there's so much always going on, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. And then there's some of them that you got, like in the first deck you did with the singers. They're almost like you're painting with light. It's so amazing how you get those. The colour, it really is like light off the paper.
Well, every book I work on is really a journey, and I'm trying to take somebody somewhere. There is a destination. And when I worked on the Good Fairies, Bad Fairies book, first of all, there was a lot of resistance about doing a book about fairies from publishers, because they had an idea in their heads what that might be, but I was trying to show them that it was something else. So my journeys usually start off with something that's funny or something that's people understand, quirky characters, but then it gets more and more serious as you go through. But with the Good Fairies, Bad Fairies book, it was a book that has double-ended, so it's not a linear book, and so, but my destination was hidden in somewhere near the middle of it, and they were indeed the fairies that are made of light. And it was as I go on the journey, we get deeper into fairy, and it becomes more abstract, becomes more of the very essence of what a fairy is, because they often seem to dress themselves in personalities or funny faces, but underneath it is this pure energy.
That's what I feel really comes through with your paintings. It really, really comes through, probably more than most people that I see. So no, it's wonderful. So you got the new book coming out. What else is next for you guys?
Oh gosh, we're going back to the States to do more book signings there, and
there is
Fairy Worlds Festival again,
Fairy
doing
Worlds.
festival things.
There is an exhibition about fairies in Carlisle, and the museum in Carlisle coming up
That's
July.
starting in July.
Which we both have work in. I have a lot of work, work in.
A lot of work. So go and see it.
Yeah. We're actually planning ahead in a year and a half time. We'll have an exhibition about fairies in New York.
Yes.
So
Brilliant.
That.
That's going to be fun.
I'm working on now some covers for graphic novels, which will be continuations of The Dark Crystal. And then sometime in the future there will be
Actually, they're
Labyrinth.
prequels.
They're prequels. Yeah.
And Dark
Yeah.
Crystal 2, again, is trundling on. So we're hoping, yes, it is. It keeps getting revived, but this time we have hope that it actually is going to be going ahead. So we're both working on that too.
Yes.
I guess since you first started drawing fairies, the world must have changed so much. Obviously, festivals like this have popped up everywhere.
Yeah, very interesting, because nobody really was doing it.
No.
Both Anne and Lee and myself, when we were asked to do a book about fairies, we just sort of leapt at the chance. I've been painting fairies since I was at college, really, just sneaking them in just for my own pleasure. But we said, oh yeah, we'd love to do it. But that, we had no idea at the time how influential that book was going to be, how it touched, well, first of all, it touched people, because I think it's because it was true. It encapsulated something that was essentially truthful about fairies, that we'd rather lost for years, that we'd...
Lost in Disney.
Yes, and it had been relegated to the nursery, and it was saying, well, actually, it used to be part of a grown-up tradition. And they were tricky things and dangerous things. And I think people picked up on that. But then, quite rightly so, they started to incorporate it in their lives, because fairies were always part of our lives. That's why you gave them gifts all the time. But now, people, when they come to festivals like this and they dress up, for them it's like coming home.
Yes.
Everybody feels really comfortable.
And it's so wonderful to see that, and to see a beautiful place like this with all these people, all different ages, coming, dressing up, and living the way they want to, living the dream that they want to live. It's really wonderful.
Well, I guess one of the things we noticed a few years ago when a lot of these were starting up, and we were going to, because in America we were part of the Fairy Worlds Festival, and it sort of started also like in small halls. It wasn't just outside. What we noticed that it was all ages. And it was actually a lot of the older women just came and had a blast. They were all dressed up and they were having a fantastic time.
And now older men too, who are a little slower and wanting to come and do it. But now I think that, yes, of course, yes, I know, we can do that.
Well, the men were always, when you talk to the men, they said, I used to let my wife come to these things because I didn't think it was for me, but now I've come, he said, I don't know why I waited so long.
First of all, when you did start, did you decide to start painting fairies, or did they decide you were going to paint fairies?
I have no doubt whatsoever that they decided I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, once you tread onto the fairy path, there's no way off. They're not going to let you off. And it's been, it's been an absolute gift. I mean, it still is a gift, but sometimes you go, oh dear, why? Why? Because it's a struggle. I mean, not only is it a struggle for me as an artist to actually try to accurately portray the emotions of what's involved with this, but also to get a world in general, and I mean like, publishers or art galleries or that, to understand that this is legitimate. They just think it's just frivolous, or it's just on the periphery, or it's just fairies. And what they're missing is when they see it, they go, oh, I hadn't really realised. But it's an ongoing battle, though, I have to say.
So it's great you got the exhibition in New York then. That's a big...
Yes, we're excited about that.
Yes, we are, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Happy Midsummer.
You too.
And it's lovely to meet you.
Our pleasure.
Yay, thank you. You're welcome.
While I was at the Three Wishes,
Okay. Did you guys? I'm just gonna throw this out there. Want to put it back here? There. Do they look like anybody you know?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Do they look like anybody you know?
No.
They don't remind you of anybody?
Not off the top of my head.
You know who I see? An older Harry Potter and Ginny Weasley.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so nice. I'm like, no.
They do. They do.
Oh my God.
Can you see?
No, I did not see that. I was like, no, why? Should I know them? I'm going through everybody in my head. Then I'm like, people we know or what? I wanted to say, I believe, also Nika, Jim Henson did
Well,
the Dark Crystal.
Wendy actually worked with Jim Henson. She worked on the Fraggle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
He was the creator of several of those. Was it the Dark Crystal? Did he do the Labyrinth?
He did the Labyrinth. I don't know if he was in Willow. If he did Willow, I don't know if he did Willow or not. But
because I know Wendy made the creatures on the Dark Crystal, and Brian made the creatures on the Labyrinth. And you remember how David Bowie stole the baby?
Mm-hmm.
And had the baby in there, and they did the magic dance and all that.
Yeah, that was fun.
The baby, Toby, is actually Toby Froud, Wendy and Brian's son.
Oh.
So.
No, I mean, it was done by Jim Henson, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Didn't he do, now it slips my head, but I'll come back to it. Legend, isn't that the one with the unicorn?
That's one of my favorites, but I don't think he did that one.
He didn't do that one?
I don't think so. Let me look real fast. That's the one that had Tom Cruise, like his very first one.
Before everybody knew he was really short.
And before he got a nose job.
I know.
Let me see. Oh, no,
I think what's interesting is when he said to see fairies. So many people see fairies and they don't even know they see them.
Because I think that closes off their mind.
Because you see them in shapes on trees, like sometimes they're trees. You can see them in the faces on the trees. You can see them in different lighting on the flowers at times as well, when you see things that are flitting by and it seems bright. Mm-hmm. So people see fairies all the time and they don't realize they see them.
Legend was by Ridley Scott.
Oh, okay. I was like, there are so many movies at that time that just were so similar, but Jim Henson really was he paved a way for a whole different kind of genre.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think Wendy and Brian did too, because they're the ones that basically, communicate
created the creatures
and created them so that we could kind of see what they look like. And they're not pretty. They're not, well, some of them are, but not all of them. Some of them can be really ugly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when we talk about fairies, like it extends out to a whole world. So it's not just the pretty, cute fairies that people think about. Right. There's the whole fae. So we have trolls, gnomes, dwarves,
the sheep,
Um,
like the banshees and stuff,
mhm.
water sylphs, the
The
singers.
nymph,
There
all
were.
nymph. Yeah.
Let me look here and see if he's got a list of the different kinds. He's got the singers, the she. There's challengers. There's fairy queens, fairy kings. There's a whole like court,
Yeah, there is a whole court, and there are different courts too, not just one.
and there's elemental fairies and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds. Serenity's asking how would one honor the fairies? Fairies they like
Something.
they like cream, and we used to go down to like the gas station and get those little creamers, because it's
Mm-hmm.
and just open them up and put it down by a tree. Now you can find trees that look like they have a hole in the bottom, and that's a fairy door. That's where, and the tree will be like the ground will be like a mound, and the tree will be growing up, and it'll have like a hole down at the bottom, and that's the fairy door. And you can just leave the little cream out there. They like honey, and if you're really brave, you can put some wine in a thimble. But drunk, they like it, but drunk fairies cause a
Or
lot of mischief.
mischief. But
So
isn't it the same as sometimes when you walk in the woods and the way the trees, sometimes their branches form like a kind of dome? That's also considered a different fairy door, isn't it?
I guess it could be. I haven't heard that, but I guess it could be. Yeah, they like coffee cakes. Ilyssa's saying coffee cakes. How do you know which types follow you? I don't think they necessarily.
I don't think they
There's no.
follow you.
It's not that. I don't think they really segregate themselves. I don't think they segregate themselves. They could, but they kind of all of them mix together. Like the fairy communities, you might find a, a s- an air fairy, hanging out with a gnome or something.
Yeah.
There are meditations. I have a book called Enchantment of the Fairy Room, and it has a lot of information in it. If y'all want, we could do like a book club, not like during Conjure Crew, but just on YouTube, do a book club and just go through the book and learn about the different types and things like that. It also has a meditation in it so that you can figure out what the fairies are around you. I wouldn't say follow, I would say around.
Hmm. Melissa, if you meet some dark fae, they like burnt flour.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I never knew about burnt flour.
Only thing I know about burnt flower is gumbo.
I've never had burnt flour, I don't think. I don't know, maybe in grapes, but
You
I don't
never
think I've
eat.
ever worked with.
You never had
Huh?
gumbo before? You never had gumbo?
No,
Oh wow.
I've never had gumbo. Not authentic gumbo, no.
Okay. Because that all starts with burnt flour.
Oh yeah, I have not had authentic gumbo. Yeah, I was hoping to get it when I went to NOLA, but that did not happen. Did not happen.
Yeah. So, do you guys
So
have more questions, or you want to talk some more, or
should we talk about the dark fae versus the light fae?
you can
Or
go
no?
ahead.
Well, I mean,
They have all different kinds in here in the deck. So, if you guys want, or go ahead. Did you want to talk a little
no,
bit
no, no,
further?
no. Go ahead. No, I was listening to what you were saying.
If you guys want, what I was saying at the beginning was I've learned a lot about the fairies, the different types of fairies, what their personalities and things are through the Oracle deck. And it's because this is the book for the deck. It's like a real book. And so, if you want me to pick a card or to shuffle the cards and choose a card for you, you can put a heart emoji in the comments, and then I'll read what your card is about, what your fairy is about. And that way we can learn about different fairies.
That would work. That would be fun too.
And they'll choose you. Don't ask a question because you don't need to. They'll choose you. So if you guys want me to choose a fairy for you, then go ahead and put a heart emoji in the comments. Don't be scared. Okay, we got hearts and rainbows and all kinds of stuff. All right. So we will do Angela. And this is the original deck that they were talking about. That was back from like 2000.
Mhm.
This is not the newer deck. The newer deck won't be here till next week.
So you already got it, huh? I can't say anything. I told myself I wasn't going to back any more decks, and I lied to myself. I did.
Okay,
So.
so who was it? Angela got Tahara of the Waters.
Hmm.
So let me actually, you know what? I'm going to switch my camera around so you can see the cards better. Maybe. I'm dropping everything on my desk.
And you said the new deck, right? They made the new deck, and because
Yeah,
I know they were saying.
the new one is called Heart of the Fairy. Let me blow this up a little bit. I got all kinds of stuff going on the desk.
You were fine. I'm looking at trying to find this deck.
Okay, so you go ahead and look for the deck, and I'm gonna read about the card.
Okay.
I'm gonna put. Can I do this? Do you mind?
No, go for it.
So Tabera of the Water. She is number 37. Okay, so Tabera of the Waters is emotions, serenity, meditation, gracefully accepting change. For a moment, close your eyes and just let yourself feel the cool, sparkling fairy waters flowing through your fingers. Imagine drinking this sparkling coolness from your own cupped hands and imagine the water flowing down your throat. You may even be able to feel that magical energy filled coolness flow right through you to your toes. Ah, feel better? Throughout the world, there are healing wells, both for general health and specific ailments. In modern times, many of their fairy qualities have been diluted. Even though Tabera and her healing powers do all that they can to help keep them clear and potent, fairy waters reflect the emotional state of the human people around them. So the fairy waters that come through to our world have lessened in purity and power in places where people are living especially stressful, civilized lives. Um, they are profound connections with drinking water, tears, wealth, forgiveness. Water is the fluid of transforming nutrients in the body, the connecting flow. I could flow on and on. Um, and then it says, however, the many healing fairies who help Tamara do the best they can under the circumstances to purify the waters, and they try to, oh wow, this is a lot. They try to maintain their own merry spirit and give happy power to the waters. We can help the fairies by creating more merriment in the lives of others and in our own lives. And then down here it says, I don't want to cover up the picture. Water is mutable, changeable, fluid. Vera speaks to us. I'm just going to read the short version for everybody else because this is a lot. Sorry. Water is mutable, changeable, fluid, and Tabera speaks to us of a particular kind of change of emotions, and possibly a change in health. We have important choices to make about how we meet those changes and where they let them take us. Towards the calm, flowing purity of fairy waters or the boiling cauldron of hot temper and steamy emotions. The choice is obvious, but we sometimes forget that we have it. Tabira reminds us that we do have a choice, and making it wisely or unwisely determines our future. The things we need in life remain constant, no matter what is going on or how the changes and pressures in our life may be. We need nurturing and love, and it is ultimately up to us to provide that for ourselves. The healing fairies will help us if we ask them to. So that goes back to talking about the fairy wells. There was another story in the beginning of that book that I was talking about doing the book club for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh, who the hell? Y'all, if you want to get scammed, y'all go ahead and inbox that person.
Yeah, the Babala.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so, so what was I saying? Oh, the fairy wells and the healing water. And there's already, I know over like in the UK and Scotland and Ireland, they have fairy pools where people will actually go to get healed. Let me delete these.
I have heard of that. Sorry, I'm looking and I'm like trying to find that deck.
It's called Heart of the Fairy Oracle.
Well, the new one, I found the new one, but that old one, the Heart of the Fairy Oracle, is like $300 now.
Well, no, that's the new one. This is the old one. This is from 2000.
Um,
But yeah, it's expensive. So did that make sense to you, Angela?
you said that one's called the Fairies Oracle?
Yes, this deck is.
Because that one's only $20. The Heart of the Fairy Oracle book and cards is going for $300.
Right. The heart of the fairy is the new one. But it's still like 10 or 11 years old. This one's 21 years old.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me see. Um, oh no, it's not inviting them in, Rob. It's
Hmm.
just kind of explain, pull a card, and then it helps explain. Because that one, Tavera of the Horrors, was talking about the healing waters, like the healing pool, the fairy pools, and the wells and stuff like that. So we can learn about the fairies by pulling cards and reading about it. Okay, Munchie Cheeses. I know we got more people that need a card. I'm just gonna start
I
picking random.
know.
Ooh, Nika, you got the green woman.
Ooh.
See, they're not all little Tinkerbell.
It reminds me of, remember True Blood, and I know it sounds cheesy for those who may or may not have, but remember when she went to the fairy realm and they looked all pretty, and then stuff started happening and they weren't so pretty at all?
I haven't
Did
seen
you
that
see it?
one.
It's good.
I'm gonna have. It's True Blood
Yeah, True Blood. It's about it's
vampire movie.
yeah, the vampire show.
Okay. So the green woman is wildness, natural magic, expectant gratitude, and untrammeled creativity. The green woman dances naked in the moonlight and in the sunlight and in the shadows above. She doesn't care what you think of her. She knows her own worth from her experience of life. She is the feminine, vital, vegetative force that enables a root to crack stone, the reed to bend in the wind, and the oak to stand against the storm. The graceful slow motion dance of the green woman shows us how to release the constraints of artificial rules and limitations and find our true pattern of growth. Each of us, rooted or not, has an internal pattern of perfection to guide our growth. Earth Mother nurtures us, Sun Father energizes us, storms batter us, and sometimes we must bend before them. Other life preys upon us on the one hand and nourishes and supports us on the other. Within the framework of the real world, we see our path, realizing our own potential and finding our own fulfillment. Um, the Green Woman reminds us that where the ground is fertile, something will grow. It may be nettles or thistles, or roses or carrots or sandburrs or roses, but it will be something because fertile earth never remains empty. She tells us to stay earth, to attend to our own growing ground, keeping it fertile, aerated, and well watered, and to pay attention to what grows there. It's up to us to root out what we don't want within ourselves and to nurture what we do. She also reminds us to count our blessings and deal with our difficulties. A tree grows where the seed falls, as do all of our living brothers and sisters. They teach us of the importance of making the best of what comes to us, showing patience and perseverance in adversity. When a plant is thirsty, it can only do limited things to assuage its thirst, like slowly driving its roots deeper in search of water, but mostly it must wait for water to come to it. Although we have legs and we can often take action to get what we want, or at least try to, there are some things beyond our reach. These are the things we can learn from the Green Woman's example, waiting patiently and with expectant gratitude. Yet at the same time, she counsels us to take risks, to let new and unfamiliar wild seeds grow and see what they become. Watch them closely. Some of them may be miracles waiting to happen in our lives. As we develop our own free and untrammelled creativity, the Green Woman grows within us. The Green Woman speaks to us, caring for our growing ground and the physical satisfaction of being our natural selves and practicing our own innate magic. This is a time for enhancing the growth of our talents and abilities, a time of blossoming that will bear fruit. It may also be a time of growing maturity and self confidence. Experience trusting yourself and trusting the process of growth. She also reminds us of material reward ahead and the harvest of the seeds we have planted and nurtured. She counsels boldness and perseverance in the face of adversity, yet she also reminds us that sometimes the only action we can take is to wait patiently and keep growing. So yeah, Nika, that sounds like you. You just gotta be patient. But remember, be, what did they say? That where the ground is fertile, there will be growth. So be careful what you're allowing in, because it can be good or it can be bad. So just be careful of what you're allowing in. Okay, and then we're going to do raw. Yeah, see, that's why I was saying you don't even have to ask a question to your parents; they'll pick you. The fairies are not shy; they just pretend to be shy. Rob, you get to the poet. So let's see what he
That's
has.
cool.
Taeyong the poet is clear-sighted, poetry, erotic energy, laughter, not getting into serious mischief. He's always worried about getting in trouble. There you are. For quite a while, as I looked at, oh, this is Brian writing this stuff, okay? For quite a while, as I looked at Taeyong's portrait, I really didn't have a clear idea of his character. He looked so serious, so pensive, so thoughtful, but that wasn't the energy I felt coming from him at all. He had me baffled and fooled. Then my son looked at him and noted he's wearing a mask. He's laughing at us. He likes to speed ahead of us and stand beside a tree and watch us go by, thinking up mischief for us to fall into. And then he goes ahead like a river, but much faster up over the hills and lies in wait for us. That felt right, but Taeyong looked at me with such wounded dignity that I almost got confused again. Then he started laughing and dashed off. I wondered some more about him, and one of the other fairies said, "He's a fine traveling companion if you have a taste for adventure, bawdy songs, high flights of poetic fancy, and very down to earth observation. A fine, fine fellow." Taeyong's boundless curiosity leads him into some strange places, and he is quite happy to take us there with him. Taeyong's wings, like yours, are neatly folded at his back and not readily visible. He is still learning to use them properly and thinks he is better with them than he really is. He wants to encourage us to unfold our wings and doesn't hesitate to lead us into situations where we almost have to fly, metaphorically sometimes, in order to survive. When I was young, I think it was he who encouraged me to climb up lots of trees and high buildings I couldn't easily get down from, and I know it was he who encouraged my son to do similar things. He is very fond of children. Like him, they are usually willing to try anything. Taeyong has a poetic spirit, which involves much more than just the writing of rhymes. It is about being able to see things as they really are, and in that reality to recognize all beauty, even the beauty of necessity and difficulty. This is not an unthinking, reflexive, immature, everything is for the best attitude, but an understanding of the beauty of what we found in joy and sorrow, from grief and hardship, from pain and pleasure. Theo also wants to show us how silly it is to be so very solemn about life. He laughs at himself, he laughs at us. Sometimes he laughs so hard he gets cowslip wine all over his nose, and then everyone else laughs at him. He doesn't mind that, as long as we are all laughing. Teom is also the young original John, barely beginning on the path, but with a boundless interest in all things magical and mystical. He'll try anything and encourage you to do so as well. But you find it advisable to show a little more sense than he does sometimes. He plays the panpipe, but not very well. He also chases the dryads and has much more success with it. He has a lust for life, fine females, and song. He claims he was born on the Blarney Stone, no doubt, and consequently has a wonderful gift for words, which I don't doubt at all. He loves children, writers, and life, adventurous, uninhibited spirits. He is a storyteller with a great imagination and has the power to inspire others to action with his words. It says, when Taeyong turns up, his presence suggests that youthful spirits and energy abound. This is the time to do exciting things and to tackle projects you've been wanting to do, but for which you have perhaps felt you didn't have the time or energy. It may even be the time to write about them, but you probably need to do them first. Taeyong often shows up for people who have a talent and inclination for writing poetry, adventure, fantasy, or anything else. Possibly the only thing he ever gets very serious about is his writing, and he will spend all the time he needs searching for just the right word. Speaking and writing with conviction and sincerity and the ability to persuade others are indicated in Peong's presence, along with an outpouring of ideas. You may also find yourself thinking about romance and deciding that you want more of it in your life. This doesn't necessarily mean looking for someone new. It might well involve putting some romantic fizz into a relationship that has become overly routine. Ooh, raw.
Rob getting the nookie. Let's see. Did
Mm.
anyone else? So we had Rob. Anyone else want a card? No, I'm gonna pull a fairy for me. Let me see what awesome fairy I
Okay.
get.
All right.
Please.
Hi, Laverne. We'll do Laverne after I do your Shishi.
Laverne
She's
first. Do Laverne first.
Laverne first. Okay, Laverne,
Yeah.
Laverne, Laverne. What do we have for Laverne? The feline. The feline is about getting it right, delayed completions, and tidying up loose ends. So let me take a drink and then I can read. Hmm. Brian notes that this is the accusing, offended expression we see on the cat's face, saying, "You know I have my dinner at 5 o'clock." Yeah, it kind of looks like that, huh? Brian adds that the feline is also known as a slight accusation or an accusation of slight. One of my cats, that Magic, is the feline's first cousin and has mastered the family expression. She uses it for all sorts of things, but I have often seen it elsewhere as well. I may have even used it myself once or twice. We know the feline is near, nodding his head when we hear remarks like, "I thought you'd have my shirt ironed for me. You said you'd get the brakes fixed, or you mean that report isn't done yet?" The feline speaks to us when we know we deserve it but are pretending we don't. His is the voice that whispers in our ears, just as we try to settle down with a good book, a new computer game, or our favorite leisure activities, and we experience that old familiar guilty feeling. Alcohol only drowns him out temporarily and gives people hangovers as well, so it is not a useful remedy, although it is widely used. In fact, that particular avoidance tactic usually causes the feline to raise his voice even louder the next morning in a particularly piercing tone. He makes lists of things we haven't done, shaking his head over them and muttering, "Tisk, tisk." These are the things we could and should have taken care of by now, but haven't. This is his job, and he does it well. Sometimes, though, he just wishes we would do our job so that he could go play first one over the hill gets to kiss the fairy maid, or munch chocolate covered thistles with his friends, or take naps in the heather, instead of having to work overtime nagging at us. The feline looks out of his card accusingly, reminding us of things undone, promises unkept, and duties unfulfilled. He says that we can't expect to have things go right when we are trailing so much unfinished business behind us. Dragging that stuff around tires us. It uses up energy that we need for other things. If we would just take care of these things that cause so much mental and sometimes physical clutter, we could suddenly find that we have a lot more energy at our disposal to do the things that we really want to do, and probably much more cooperation from others as well. He especially suggests that we take care of the little things that matter to others. We will feel so much better when we have done that, and so will he. So, Laverne, are you been procrastinating about something? Ah, see, there you go. He's telling you, you, you know you need to do that. He's nagging you. It could be. It could have been one of the characters that they added in the movie. It very well could have been. All right, and so now we'll do Shishi. Are y'all learning anything about the fairies doing it this way?
I am. I'm up here still trying to find that second deck. I found the first one, but then that second one, $300 right now. Oh,
Yeah, I found it for 165 and grabbed it before we went live.
oh God, killing me.
But now I bought it used. I didn't get the new one. The new ones are too expensive. I mean, the used ones are expensive too. Don't get me wrong. Okay, she, Shakira, she. Ooh, you got Iris of the Rainbows. You're all naked lady, all hanging out. All right, let's
Yes,
see.
freedom.
Right? Okay, so Iris. Iris of the Rainbows is hope and promise for the future. Blue skies and rain are the realm of Iris the Rainbow Fairy. She dwells at the meeting of air, the element of mind, and water, the element of emotion. She sits, rainbow-hued wings outspread, suspended in mid-air, partially wrapped in her deep sky draperies and crowned with iris blossoms. The fairy archers tip their arrows in her potent handful of iridescent light. Firing their arrows, they send polychromatic rays into the storm, bringing light to dismal skies and hope to darkened hearts. Beneath the rainbow fairy, the amphibious creatures of a wet earth crouch. You see them all like crouching down. You see that the ones with the arrows that they're talking about too, right here. See a little bow and arrow. Anyway, let me keep going. Where am I at? Crouch. Oh, the fairy frog maiden and the frog. Anyone care to kiss him and see what happens? Peer out from their shelter at the storm-wracked world, while the shadowed sun is dimly seen above Iris's head. Sturdy pot-bellied gnomes, their toes rooted in the earth, sport sweeping whiskers to prove their entitlement to their single iris crowns, while the helpful fairy amphibians hold transparent rainbow-filled globes for the rainbow fairy. Everyone, especially Iris herself, is fully absorbed in the task of reclaiming the bright sky from the dark of the storm. In her hand, the light of heaven's bow looks like a fragile thing, yet it is the light of hope, the promise of healing and joy to come, and that is one of the most powerful things there is. Iris tells us that light is breaking through our present darkness, and that hope is a powerful factor in speeding up this process. She does not promise us that the storm is over, nor does she say that it will never storm again, but she does say that there is brightness and beauty here. She also tells us that there is something to be gained by this passage through the storm, and the sooner we learn what it is, the sooner the storm will end. Always a passage through the storm is a time of potential growth, a time to allow the dead wood of our past to be blown away to make room for the green shoots of new growth. At this point, it is useful to ask ourselves what we still need to release, and to look after protecting and nurturing the seeds we have planted. Iris suggests that the cultivation of patience may also be helpful at this time. The storm is breaking up. Are we ready for the change? If we are, if if we are presently frogs, the fairies say, the time of our transformation, foretold by the rainbow, may be at hand. Then we shall be kissed by the girl. If I say that word, I know I'm going to say it wrong. So I'm going to say kissed by the light of the sun. and discover if we are still frogs or if we have become something much more.
The light of the sun, huh?
Well, see this word? Puissant. I
Okay, I'm gonna put it in
totally,
the dictionary and see what it sounds like.
I totally would have said something like the pussy light.
I think it's Pasan, right?
P,
Puissant.
correct,
All right, let's see. This learning, it's a learning show this time.
right?
Hold on, let me see.
Laverne says pissant.
Puissant.
Puissant.
Puissant. Okay, puissant light of the sun. So what does puissant mean? Bright or
Puissant means powerful, mighty, potent.
okay. So
Puissant.
did that one resonate with you?
It did.
Okay, awesome.
That's an awesome deck. It's in my basket. Ooh,
Okay,
and I gotta negotiate this other deck down.
okay, who in here? Y'all speak up, speak up. Who's next? Oh, you had to spell that in a spelling bee?
Puissant? Ooh. What's the one that gets me every time? Restaurant.
Restaurant? Yeah, or
Restaurant.
anti-disestablishmentarianism?
Or assuage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, every time. Trying to figure out what my account is for this so that I can be like, is that the final price? Are you willing to negotiate? How long has this been up?
What are you looking on Amazon?
Yeah, I looked on Amazon, A-Books, but also eBay.
Yeah, I think this one's going. The old deck is going for like $20.
Yeah, which is great because I'm gonna buy that.
It's an awesome deck. I love this deck. There's one of the singers that they were talking about. See how that's like pure light
Yeah,
energy.
that's
We can
beautiful.
just we can flip through the cards if nobody's going to speak up and say they want one. I mean, they're obviously not in order, but Iris of the Rainbows, Penelope Dreamweaver,
Mhm. Mm.
the Green Woman,
Wait, did I forget my eBay password?
the Friends, the Undressing of a Sally, the Singer of Intuition, Fairies of the Future, She of the Cruach, what is that? The Glanconer, the Glanconer. Look at this dude. He's got two faces. Can you see it?
Oh
He's got
yeah,
a face, and then there's a little face up there,
that's weird. What is his story?
right? Then we have Mickle, a Muckle, um, Ilba the Retriever. This fairy actually finds things for you. The Maiden, the Loom, the Feline, Geo the Slow, the fairy godmother, a collective of pixies, the lady of the harvest, spirit dancer, the soul shrinker, Arvel the parrot, the singer of transfiguration, the master maker, unity, oh that gnome, the fairy who was kissed by pixies, the oak man.
I like that. The Oak Man.
Yeah, there's a couple more down here. You can see that's remember, and it looks like there's one there. You can see things in between things. I think that's what he was talking about. How they always try to pop in on the pictures. There's death
Lynna, I mean, say we're going through the cards. Have you had personal experience?
with fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my daughter used to have an invisible friend, but it was a puck. Do you know what a puck is? It's kind of like a
No,
little. It's like a little person. It's
really.
like a puck is kind of like a little pan. You know, it's got like it's not all like human. It's like half animal, half human, but it's real short like a dwarf.
Oh, yes. Okay, got you.
Okay, it's short like a dwarf though, so it's not like a pan. It's like a mini pan. And they used to run up and down the hallway. They would go from Taylor's room. They'd run down the hallway, circle the couch, and run back to her room. And they just run back and forth, back and forth. And sometimes she would be chasing him, and sometimes he would be chasing her. And I did see him twice.
Oh,
And if you look directly, you can't see him, but I can see out of like my peripheral vision, and you can see him really, really well. Um,
mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of times you'll see like orbs, and those are like little fairies that are with you. And you can see them in the flowers and the trees. And we used to have a fairy tree, and I ended up calling the police on the neighbor because he chopped down the fairy tree, and it pissed me off.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, Taylor, even at one point, let me see if I can pull it up. I dressed her up like a fairy because we go to the Renaissance Fest. So let me see. I can pull up her picture and I'll show it to you guys. Photos. Okay, now I'll share the screen so you guys can see it. See, that's her.
Oh my God. So
So,
cute.
but she would run up and down the hallways with this little fairy all the time. So I like the fairies. I've never really had an issue with. I mean, yeah, but I don't know if it's the fairies or if I just lose stuff all the time, like my keys. It's always my keys. So anyway, okay, let
I
me go ahead.
lose. Do I lose my keys? No, it wouldn't be my keys that I would lose. I lose strange things. Like when I was cleaning my house, I found all these like coins and everything everywhere. Even though I swear I put those coins in specific spots sometimes.
Oh yeah, because they like shiny stuff. They love shiny stuff.
And for the longest time, I lost this necklace that I loved. It was gone for like a year and something, and all of a sudden, it just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's fairies. Oh, we have. I'm gonna go ahead and finish walking through, and then
Okay.
I see we have a Danielle here, so I'll pull one for Danielle.
Okay.
We the pook. Oh, let me blow it back up. 1 second. I don't want to. Wait a minute. I don't want to do that. There. Okay. The pook. The singer of healing. Luna. That's the fairy guide. I think you're supposed to like draw your own fairy that comes to you. The piper. This would be like a pan guy. The singer of connection. The roar. Epona's wild daughter. I know you know who Epona is.
Yes. Sure.
The singer of the chalice. Flap the fledler or something. Honesty. Luminous doom. Luthus the wild. The singer of initiation. The topsy turvets. Because if you look at this card, and watch, it's the same card.
And that's the back of the cards altogether anyway.
Uh-huh. But that's the topsy turvets. The fawn. The watcha. The guardian at the gate. The dark lady. Always thought that was the Morgan. It always looks like the Morgan to me.
Yeah.
Um,
It reminds me of the one.
Taitlin the sylph. Indy. Ecstasis. Himself. Uh, Lacey Moon's daughter. Lacey Moon's daughter. G. Habia. The bright mother. Neelis the alchemist. Lys of the shadows. Tibera of the waters. Solus. Sylvanius. Mick the Mick the Iomancer or something. Teom the poet. The bodacious Vidocq.
Oh my
The
goodness, I wonder what that one is.
that one. He looked kind of creepy, huh? The singer
Yeah, he
of
does. But he
the,
has an interesting story.
oh yeah, the sage. He
Mhm.
of the fairy sword and the journeyman. So who was it? I said Danielle. Okay, we'll pull one for Danielle.
Yes.
We've already went over our time. Okay, sorry. So Danielle, Danielle, Danielle. Danielle gets Indy. So let's see what Indy is about. Indy is indecision, wishy-washing, commitment, and decision making. If you don't get him on the wish, you might catch him on the wash. But probably not, because by the time you think you've got a commitment from him, he's swung the other way again. Poor Indy, he can't decide between this and that, or is it that and this? If he had just if he just had more information, if he just had some kind of guarantee about the outcome, if only he could be certain about things. Well, he can't. That isn't how life is. Indy sits on our shoulder as we wobble around trying to make a decision, and just as we think we've about got it, he mutters, "But what if?" And very likely we dissolve into confusion again. Decisions make him nervous because they involve commitment, and Indy seems to be frightened of that. What if he makes the wrong decision and it ruins his or someone else's life? What if he makes no decision, dithering forever, and that causes ruin? I feel for Indy, um, and for he is the only one of the fairy challengers who doesn't know what we should be doing. That is, he knows we should be making our decisions clearly and cleanly at the appropriate time, and he has some ideas about how we might more easily go about that, but he is not himself a good decision maker. Sometimes he whispers almost tearfully in my ear, "You're going to drive me mad, if you don't just make up your mind." There are many reasons why we hesitate when decision and action are appropriate. However, most of them boil down to fear of making a mistake, fear of harming others, fear of losing something of value to us, fear of harming ourselves, fear of responsibility, fear that we are simply not able to make a proper decision. We need to look honestly at our insecurities, recognizing them for what they are, our insecurities, not reality. Then we need to resolve what we can and set the rest in balance against what will surely happen if we continue to hesitate. Premature decisions and actions often create problems, but lack of decision is a decision also, and one that creates its own set of misfortunes. Indy is also known as the Libra's bane, but an indecisive Libra truly is Indy's bane. He would be so relieved if we would just make our decisions and our commitments and stick to them. Then he might learn to do this for himself and be in a better position to help others. Caught up in Indy's energy, um, one Oracle group member, who is usually a great decision maker herself, responded to the above paragraph. "You lost me here. How would our learning to make decisions help Indy to make decisions? Would it really? Then what would he do? How would he better help other beings having problems with this? Or would the other beings that are having problems cause Indy not to learn how to make his own decisions? Or are there no people that Indy knows that he can learn from now so that he could be different? Or are we talking about global change here? Uh, what was I trying to say? That sometimes it is possible to learn from watching others learn. Indy would like to do this. Then he might be better able to teach these processes. Or perhaps not. At least I think that is what I mean. It is decision time. Time to make up your mind. Make a decision, then stick with your commitments. Set yourself a definite time period to complete your decision, right down to the day and hour. Give yourself time to put the decision into practice before it is too late. Once that arbitrary but carefully judged decision time is set, ask for guidance for your highest good, then weigh, consider, ponder, and gather information. If we do this, and if we have asked for aid, the answer seems somehow to fall magically into place at the appointed time. Then it is just a matter of trusting that answer and carrying it through. We can ask for help with that as well, if we wish. It is willingly given. So I don't know if Danielle was still here, but that was for her.
Nice. Well, I like that deck, and I appreciate you sharing it.
I love this deck. It was like, this was my first deck. I
Really?
started with the fairy deck.
Nice.
So I
I
think
don't think
Tonya
anyone
was.
has any other questions.
No, everybody's being pretty quiet.
I know.
So did you guys learn anything? What would you talk about next time?
Oh, what we should talk about.
Hmm?
So I wonder what we should talk about next time. I
I
thought
don't
we
know.
had someone on yet.
Mm-mm. We don't have anybody else scheduled. We'll have to make a new schedule. So I don't know who's here and who's not here. It says we have 7 people. Did you guys maybe want to do like the book club and go over that book, um, Enchantment of the Fairy Realm? Because if y'all want to do that, we can set up a time. We can do it live on YouTube. Okay, good. Thank you. All right.
I know it's a pretty quiet Sunday. I
Yeah, it
think all the way
is.
around.
I feel like I talked the whole time.
Well, you were sharing the cards.
I love this deck. And see what I mean about how the deck taught me about the fairies? Because it breaks them down and it explains so much. I mean, there's a lot more. And I think I will go ahead and do the book club. What do you think will be a good time?
What are we doing on a Sunday again?
Well, no, because we have Conjure Crew on Sundays. So it would be like a
No,
separate thing. Um, so
I can't really say because I'm pretty much 5 to 6 hours ahead of you. So
right. So probably is this a good time though? Around 2 o'clock?
um,
Well, I mean it's 3 now, but so an hour ago, what time was that?
that was today. Yeah, that was about 8. But soon we'll be back at 9.
Is that a good time or do you need it to be earlier?
A little earlier would probably be better.
So like an hour earlier?
Mm-hmm.
And what day do you think would be good?
Well, you have lives on Wednesday, right?
No, I'm not doing those anymore.
So why don't we do it on a Wednesday?
Wednesday at 1? 1 Central. Okay. And that'll be at 8 your time or 9, whenever.
That'd be 8 my time.
Okay, so we'll set it up for Wednesday then.
Okay.
And we'll just
That
go
works.
through and read the book and discuss it and see what we can learn from it.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay,
Unless you want to wait until I get my deck and then we both go through it and we just highlight certain ones.
well, the book was. Let me show you what the book is like. It's a different. It's by a different author,
Oh, it's a
but
separate book.
it's by Ted Andrews who wrote that book Animal Speak. So let me see. Let me find the front of it. That one.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, let me see if I can find it.
it has the basics of the fairy world, fairies, elves, legends, and myths, the elemental kingdom, nature spirits, water sprites, spirits, and nymphs, the breath of the air spirits, the warmth of the fire spirits, finding the flower fairies, the touch of the tree spirits, fantastic creatures of the fairy realm, the blessings of the fairy godmothers, living the magical life. And so I think that we can learn a lot from this book.
Okay.
And we'll just
Just
go
send
through.
me just send me a picture of it in the group if you don't mind. And I'll look for it.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Actually, I'll just do it here.
Okay. It's Ted Andrews' Enchantment of the Fairy Realm. I got it on iBooks.
Oh, yeah,
But
I could probably get it on Kindle.
Yeah, they have it on Kindle, but to be honest, you don't even need the book because if we do it online, I can share it just like we're sharing here, and we can read it together.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody doesn't want to necessarily get the book, they don't have to, and they can still
Right.
join in. So,
All right.
all right. Well, I hope you guys have a good night, and we will see you back next Sunday. I will be back, I guess, Wednesday to do the book club at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Germany time. Um, and then Tanya usually has her deal on Fridays. What else we got coming up?
Right now, nothing because I have to move the pendulum class to April. So normally
Okay.
we have a pendulum class, but it has to be moved to April.
Okay.
So,
All right.
but I'll announce that next time.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, guys. See you later. Love you bunches.
Bye.